Welcome, dear viewers, to Mr. Magazine, the home of stories that shimmer with truth, nostalgia, and the echoes of love once lived under the spotlight. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, tap that like button, and don't forget the join option to support our channel. Every click keeps us shining a little brighter. Today's story is one of those moments when a single sentence shakes an entire fandom. Because when Yağmur Yüksel spoke of Boris Bakters, not as a colleague or a co-star, but as someone who will always live in her heart, the internet didn't just listen, it felt it. Sometimes a word lands like thunder wrapped in silk. Always, she said. Not once, not for a while, but always. The confession sounded soft, almost unassuming, yet it carried the gravity of a memory that refuses to fade. For long-time followers of their journey, it wasn't merely nostalgia, it was validation. Those who had believed in the magic between them all along suddenly felt the universe whisper, "You were right to believe." What could she have meant? Was it gratitude for a partnership that transformed her? Or an unguarded echo of a love story still quietly alive beneath the surface? Tonight, we open that question, layer by layer. To understand the tremor, we must return to the glow of the studio lights where everything started. Yağmur and Boris met not in secret cafes or glamorous galas, but on a set humming with cables and camera cranes. Between rehearsed lines and stolen glances, something unscripted took root. Their chemistry was visible even in the pauses, the half-smiles that lasted longer than the director's cut, the warmth that slipped through the edges of performance. Viewers didn't need confirmation, they could feel it. The screen stopped being a boundary and became a window into something tender, new, and strikingly real. And when the story left the soundstage and entered everyday life, the illusion became truth. We saw them in candid snapshots, two chairs drawn close, shared laughter over cold coffee, shoulders brushing after a long day of takes. Soon they weren't merely characters, they were a we. At their peak, they were the couple everyone rooted for. Their photos felt like small holidays in our timelines, their interviews like love letters disguised as press junkets. Every post shimmered with that ease two people have when affection still feels like discovery. Then came the silence. Schedules tightened, projects multiplied, and the relentless pace of fame tested what once looked unbreakable. When news of their separation broke, the collective sigh from fans felt almost physical. Edits froze mid-frame, comment sections quieted. The fairy tale dimmed, and the crowd that once cheered was left whispering why. Life, as it does, carried them in opposite directions. Boris focused inward, choosing calm over commentary. Yağmur, ever luminous, kept creating, her performances deeper, wiser. Time dulled the noise but not the memory. Months later, with no warning, Yağmur's words dropped into the cultural current like a stone into still water. Boris is, and will always be, in my heart. No soft detachment. No polite past tense, only always. That word stretches across years, it refuses closure. It can mean I remember, or I still feel, or perhaps what we were remains part of who I am. And for those who listened closely, it sounded like all three. Maybe it's gratitude for someone who helped her learn what presence feels like, the late-night pep talks, the quiet support between takes, the shared victories when a difficult scene finally landed. Maybe it's a salute to a connection built under merciless lights yet protected with genuine care. Or maybe, as the hopeful corners of the internet whisper, the ember still glows, hidden but alive. Tell us, Mr. Magazine family, how do you hear that word? Is it closure, confession, or something in between? Share your thoughts below, your voices keep this conversation alive. Within hours, fan pages were reborn. Old clips resurfaced, interviews were dissected frame by frame, and every lingering glance between them was catalogued as proof. Timelines flooded with montages set to melancholic songs, captions like "Some stories never end." Half the fandom celebrated, convinced that love had found its way back into the narrative. The other half warned against reading too much into sentiment. But either way, both sides agreed they had missed feeling something this genuine. And where is Boris in all this? Those who know him describe a man who communicates best through stillness. He rarely reacts to noise, his calm is his language. Since the separation, he's walked the fine line between public duty and private dignity. Would he be moved by her words? Almost certainly. Would he answer them openly? Probably not. His version of response might be a thoughtful interview months later, or a cryptic post that says more in one image than in a paragraph. Or perhaps he'll say nothing at all, because sometimes silence is the only shelter that keeps memories intact. What if Yağmur's declaration isn't about rekindling but about reverence? Perhaps it's the peace that arrives when you can look back without regret. The industry often turns endings into spectacle. Her statement, by contrast, felt graceful, almost sacred, a way of placing the past where it belongs, not erased, not exploited, but honored. Still, for romantics among us, hope doesn't ask permission. It simply lights itself again, humming, "What if?" Would you welcome a reunion, on screen or off? Drop a comment below, and while you're here, don't forget to subscribe and tap join to keep Mr. Magazine glowing. Your engagement shapes which stories we explore next. Always is a constant in a world addicted to endings. It reminds us that affection can survive transformation. Between two people who shared dawn call times and endless retakes, that constancy feels believable. Every shared coffee, every inside joke, every unspoken encouragement accumulates into something you don't discard, you fold it carefully, like a letter you can't throw away. Maybe that's what she meant, that meaning itself outlasts form. In the end, love stories that begin under cameras rarely find quiet conclusions. They linger in light, waiting for another cue. Could her words be a gentle invitation, a private message hidden in public speech? Or are they a dignified bow, the final ribbon around a chapter that deserves to remain untarnished? Whatever the truth, the fascination endures because their connection never felt manufactured. It felt human, fallible, real, and real things echo. When trust like theirs once existed, it doesn't vanish, it settles, like dust that still sparkles when sunlight hits the room just right. Perhaps that is the essence of Yağmur's message. Not a declaration of unfinished romance, but an acknowledgement that certain bonds reshape us so thoroughly they remain part of our architecture. Always might mean that the heart keeps a small lamp burning, not for return, but for gratitude. And maybe that's enough. Thank you for wandering through this story with us, dear audience. We revisited beginnings and endings, silence and confession, and that fragile thread between memory and hope. Now tell us, do you believe some loves outlive their timeline? Comment your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe to Mr. Magazine for more stories where reality meets reverie. And remember, the drama never truly ends here, it simply waits for its next spotlight. Until the next heartbeat, this is Mr. Magazine, signing off with one truth that refuses to fade. Some words, like always, are forever.